Looks like we are live. Miss Jill.
Hello,
So,
hello, hello.
long time coming, Jill. You have been an incredible mentor to me in so many ways, and I can't wait to share your story with our industries, the industry curious people that are looking, is this the right type of job for me? Scalable growth, ideas that way, but also just those that have been in this industry for years and are looking to revamp how they want to approach what they are going to scale, where they're going to scale, how they're going to do the next 5 years, 10 years. And you've really done it all, Jill.
Well, I don't know about that. I'm always in the process of always learning, so I don't know about that.
Yeah. So why this industry? Where were you at when you finally decided that this was the career path for you?
I actually was going to go to school to be an anesthesiologist, go figure. And I was only going to go to beauty school so I could have a higher to help me go through college. That was the goal. My sister and I always kind of thought in the back of our mind, though, I have an identical twin sister named Jody. We always kind of thought, well, we'd love to have a business together someday. That would be kind of fun too. But anyway, when we got through beauty school, we fell in love with it. And then we just kind of went from there. We started opening. We didn't start right away. It was probably just maybe a couple years. We opened our own salon. Yeah. And well, first I started and then she joined me. But it was purely just on passion. And we love what we do. And we love making people feel beautiful. And it was just such a fun career. And then as we both got together, we're just really all about education, kind of education junkies. So we're always looking for new ways of doing everything. And so then we decided to hire consultants. So, and we feel a great value when we hired consultants because we hired Noelle DiCaprio. That was our first consultant. And she is the mother of day spas out of Stamford, Connecticut. She is no longer with us, but we learned so much from her. And she got to come to Fargo, North Dakota, which, not too many people have that on their bucket list. But she taught us, how to really organize a spa, how to do the time tickets to travelers and for that best guest experience. And that really helped us. So we were the first spa in North Dakota. We had to jump through a lot of hoops legally because nobody had ever done it before. But it's really not hard to do. You just have to lobby and change some rules and laws and regulations.
What year was that, Jill? What year was that? What year was
1997 was when we opened our first spa. We started the salons in 86.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, wait, 83. Excuse me. We started really small in 83 and then took a dive into bigger in 86. But in 97 is when we built our first big spa. Before that, we had 3 little salons.
Yeah. And what was the limitations you were experiencing for a spa environment from your government or your area to get approved?
They really had never had one before, so there wasn't any licensing for it. So, so we had to go through getting it licensed and, but otherwise they have doors between each separate businesses. We had to open it up. So it was one business. So, and it was really easy to do because, we just went to a mall and look at the case laws there. I mean, there's nail places, there's hair places, and there's skin places. So it was really not hard to do, but we did have to hire a lawyer and we did have to make it happen. But, yeah.
Well, thanks for doing that for us.
All over North Dakota. Pardon me?
I said, thanks for doing that for us.
Well, that was just in our state. Other states were way ahead of us probably,
Yeah.
So we just live in the archive area, but I love our state board. They're awesome people. They work hard. So we're very, very lucky.
Yes. And it's interesting how different it can be between Canada and the United States. Like there's a lot of opportunity for learning from each other for sure.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I actually had a beauty school in Winnipeg, and I had to sell it because I could not get there because of COVID. But such a difference in the way they do things according to schools, where Canada is way more easier than and less regulatory than the U.S. The U.S. is much more regulated.
Yeah, it's crazy. So 97, you open your first spa, How did you get into the school business between that and your consultants? What inspired you to go into the business of schools?
So we believed in consultants, so we were hiring different consultants for different things because we wanted to get there fast and learn fast and have it somewhat structured because we just didn't have the time to recreate it our own. And as we were through, I think it was our third or fourth consulting group that we brought in, um, we became consultants for them. And I wasn't even ready to become a consultant. They just needed one for large salons because at this time, we had, a large company. So I thought, well, this is God calling me to do this because my daughter was just born. She doesn't sleep through the night. We have 5 kids. I don't know if I have any more time, but I just felt this calling. And it was so cool because I got to meet some really strong industry leaders. And not only did I learn from them, and we taught them the systems that we were teaching, it was just a very good experience for me.
Mhm.
Lots of little golden nuggets from each of those fabulous salon owners. And then it just always makes everybody in the industry better their best. So when we got into consulting, we thought, one of the biggest problems that this industry has is the schools, because the schools weren't making the student salon ready. So then the salons who are not trained to be educators are having to train these new hires for 2 years before they're even ready for the salon. I thought, we've gotta shore that up because
Yeah.
what's happening is they get into the salon and they end up washing hair, cleaning their station, and really losing that vision of why they were here, you know? Unless it was a really good educator that knew how to get them involved with
Yeah.
the process. It was just too long for too little money. So many were quitting. So we
Yeah.
decided to put together a school program, and there was like 6 or 7 of us or 8 of us in the beginning that we worked together for like a year, and we put together curriculum and all this stuff for what we thought was salon ready. And what was then and what is now is not even close because of it's all been an evolution,
How
and
many
a
years
revolution of the different,
early?
age groups. So you have to just rethink everything.
Yeah.
But that consulting company really did teach me how to think out of the box. I guess all of them kinda did, but, anyway, so then we decided to open a school division.
Mhm.
So we franchise beauty schools across the US and in Canada.
And what year did that transition start from when you had, I guess, the age of your daughter? Because that's when you
Well,
kind of started consulting
right,
to go,
2001.
oh, wow.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
when we first we kind of dabbled in it in 2000. I mean, just talking about schools, but
Yeah.
2001 is when we started really, putting stuff together. And then I opened my own school in 2003. And then we've been opening schools all over since then.
So, how many, you just opened a brand new luxury spa. I mean, it's got so much in it. It has a restaurant in it. It's
Mhm.
got all the, so tell me a little bit about that experience and, getting to that point of transitioning from the, it was a mall style salon you had before. It was
Nope. It was a freestanding building salon that I had. I just had 3 locations,
yeah,
and
okay.
we rolled them slowly into one.
Okay.
That wasn't necessarily the plan. We were gonna keep our other location in North Fargo, but our lease came up and it just didn't work out, so we ended up doing the one big one in South Fargo. But the reason we did it is we met with our guests and we
Yeah.
had focus group meetings. And when you have a focus group meeting, you invite all different ages, all different kind of just hand selected some guests that we thought would be powerful and telling us what does our city need. And we brought them to a restaurant that was totally off-site. We fed them, we had them have cocktails, and we brought a structured agenda because we wanted to really, peel back the onion and find out what they all wanted, so to speak. And then we were just going to figure out how we can put that together so we can make that experience for them in Fargo. And through that whole process, we really learned a lot, even about where we were going to put the spa, like where we thought we were going to put it and where they thought we should put it are different. So we are right now where they thought we should put it, which
Awesome.
I think is fantastic. So just
Yeah.
by asking some of your key intelligent guests that you think would give you great feedback. They kind of helped us pick our site. They helped us come up with some of the things they needed. And then being industry people, having the school and the salon, I don't know if I would have done a, my salon is 22,500 square feet. It's a med spa. It's got a restaurant, which you call our celebration center. We call it the Grotto. And then we've got the full nail, pedicures, hair, but we call it our lifestyle salon. So we're a little bit different than most salons. We offer pay hourly. If people feel more secure with hourly pay, that's fine. But based on their performance, they get a raise based on how much they bring in, kind of like a little kitty, up
Yeah.
or below, where you stay.
Yeah.
And then we have commission. And then our commission places, we have a growth plan set up on their performance, how they can grow their commission and their prices so that they can make, triple digit numbers. And then we have a little plan we made for single moms, just because in our area, we have so many single moms. And we really want to help them with what they're doing. I mean, so many of them have no child support. So we got a few girls together and we share stations and we just kind of try to help them. And then we also do independent. But in our independence, they still have to report their taxes and, do all that as well. And everything goes through our front desk, and we had to make that legal. Every state is different on how you can do that. So you have to meet with lawyers and make sure you have the right company set up and stuff. So then now we fit everybody's lifestyle, because it all depends on where they're at in their journey.
Yeah.
One of the biggest things that we've done that's so off the records from most salons, I don't know whoever put it in writing, but you've got to not do a service charge for product. What? I mean, really? Oh, and you got to pay 60% commission. How do you make the margins meet? Right. So we thought, well, let's just go right down to the facts. So our guests, when they check out, on their screen, it says how much product was used, that price,
Yeah.
what the labor was, just like a car dealership, parts and labor. And it changed our game, because now everybody knows, everything. So they hold the stylist accountable. How come you had to use more this time than last time or whatever? But there's always a reason, maybe you have longer hair or you're doing something different, but it really was then holding each person accountable for what should be right, just like parts and labor. I mean,
Yeah.
this is what it is. The product costs have gotten so sky high that it's just something that I think salon owners need to look at. They need to revamp. Now, it's a lot of work to get it set up, because you've got to get the price set right in your computer, and then you've got to constantly evolve it, like 4 times a year, check your prices and make sure you're intact. Otherwise you're going to lose your margins.
Yeah, it was an absolute game changer for us too, because it's no longer on the pressure of the stylist to try and know how much to add on. They're only worried about the service time, and product costs are a raw cost, just like our retail product.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
and there's no more like money off the top. It's just
Right.
like a very easy conversation. Takes that emotion out of it.
Yeah, no emotion and facts.
Yes. Yeah, I love it. So your 22,500 square foot merged location, what's the gap between, what was it, 83, your first salon? Do you remember what your annual sales were in that
Oh,
space?
gosh, I have no idea.
So curious.
We had 3
How many
chairs.
you do? Okay, 3 stairs.
Yeah,
How
I
many?
started out with 3 chairs, even though there was just me for a while, and then I have another girl kind of assisting me, and then
Okay.
she built her clientele, and, then we just kinda grew from there. Um, to get to here was, just a lot of fun and a lot of, different ways of thinking, and always looking at your numbers and always analyzing, how could I do this different? Who says we have to do it that way? Who says the front desk has to run this way?
Right.
And who says the front desk doesn't get credit for retail? They're
Yeah.
there, they're the ones that need to be educated in case the stylist is lazy and doesn't want to talk about retail, you
Yeah.
know? So, we have many different growth performance charts for every department.
Mhm.
We're all very education driven. We're also very culture driven. And that's not easy with this many women and men. So we constantly have education brought in, and we're really picky on who we bring in because we want to make sure it's the right fit
Yeah.
and they have the same vision as we do.
Yeah. I'll touch on more of the scaling conversation later. I have a whole entrepreneur category for you because I just am always so fascinated with the money mindset that you've experienced and expressed with me and shared with me over the years. But what would you say your favorite behind the scenes story would be, um, as like just a memory you experienced in the industry, maybe when you were behind the chair or as an entrepreneur, as salon owner, and then maybe one in your school environment?
Huh. Let's see. I would say a memorable moment was one time when I was actually still behind the chair and I kept getting interrupted for business. And I was the owner and I was behind the chair and I kept getting interrupted. And I remember saying to my guest, I am not going to charge you today because I am so sorry that we've had this many interruptions. That was a big aha moment for me to realize something's got to give. Now, my family couldn't give. I mean, you
Yeah.
got to be a mom, you got to be a wife, and the only thing I could give was give up doing hair. But what I did then is I decided that if I'm going to run this company and I'm at a level now where I'm hitting that ceiling, so to speak, where I'm apologizing for being interrupted, that means that I've got to make a new game plan. So then my sister and I both decided to do it at the same time. We just quit cutting hair cold turkey one day. We wrote a letter to all of our guests and we told them too. It was a very transitional time.
Yeah.
Think it took 3 months
Yeah.
and we transitioned them to different people. And actually I stood there and made nothing and talked, them through the process. So every guest felt comfortable. And luckily I'm a big email queen. So I email them always checking and how they're doing. And I send an automatic email and then they'll send me back if they're not happy. So that was good. So I can keep that communication line open. But that day was such an eye opener for me. And it was a scary jump, but it was the best jump I ever made because I missed the guest. I missed doing hair, but I needed to take it to the next level where I could coach and mentor other people to do that.
Yeah.
So that was probably a very profound day. And that was um, September 1st, 1999. And I remember it because my grandma died at that exact same time. And that was when we decided, we have got to step it up and really run our businesses. And so many stylists that I talk to that want to open schools, for example, oh, but I can't get off behind the chair. Well, then you're only going to go as far as the time clock will let you. But when you get out from on the chair, it takes two people to replace you. Don't have a big ego, just two. And because you're always, owners work harder. I have a different mindset, but
Yeah.
or charge more, for the years of experience. But anyway, once I did that and I got out and really structured my businesses, had time to plan and do everything a little bit better, then my businesses took off. And where they really took off is when I decided to open my own school and start at the kindergarten stage, so to speak with the students when they first get into the industry and kind of grow them up from there
Yeah.
is why we came up with a lifestyle salon because they're all in different ages and stages of their life. So how can we fulfill them and make it a good experience for them? But that was the biggest thing for me. And it was very scary. And even opening the school was very scary, but I couldn't staff my salon if I didn't have a resource.
No. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I just feel that I met amazing people along the way. Michael Cole being one of them, Randy Kunkel being another one. All my colleagues that I've worked with have been amazing. Sam Scheimer, Chris Barron, I could go on forever of all the people that have guided me and been mentors to me to be able to have a school and a salon. So they both work together to make each other stronger.
Yeah. That's absolutely the inspiration. When I came down to Fargo, North Dakota to learn
Yes.
all about that journey, I said, how can I do this? And one thing you're very generous with is sharing your knowledge. And, you don't hoard it and keep it to yourself. You let it flow out of you and share everything that you've learned. And what would you say?
I can
some
tell
of
you more what not to do.
yeah, I think that is where the real learning is. So
Yeah, it is.
personally and professionally, if you could share one lesson that you've learned personally or professionally, one of both, what would some of those key lessons throughout that big journey that you've done in this industry, what would those key lessons be?
I would say always working as a team. So even though it might be my vision to do one thing, if you have your team huddles and it's not that agreement isn't made, then you follow what your team where the directions are going to take you because
Mhm.
you can't do it at my level. I can't do it without my team, which I love. So, and then I feel responsible for their future and teaching them how to exit, how to retire, all of that. So,
Mhm.
it might not always be your vision, and that's okay because then you just inspired somebody else to become a champion, and and it was probably a better vision than yours anyway. So that was, empowering working as a team. I've learned a lot from them.
Absolutely. And personally, where did you see your leadership growth journey really transition?
My leadership growth really transitioned when I got out from behind the chair.
Yeah.
Because I had time to go to classes, educate myself more, um, be there more, be more present.
Yeah.
There's 5 different listening skills, and I was listening on the 2 bottom before because I was so rushed all the time, and I really needed to listen at an intellectual level. So that really changed when I got out from behind the chair.
Do you feel like there's a specific skill or quality in your personality that changed from that beginner leader to the leader you are today?
I probably have to say no. It's
Yeah.
always been a passion kind of driven goal. Um, I think that all the people I've met on my journey has shaped me who I am today. So I think I'm always being shaped, you know, even still, I don't think I'm ever not learning. I'm always want to learn more. Um, Egos are out the door. I don't like working with egos because
Mhm.
it's hard to keep the team intact if we have a bunch of ego situation going on. And if you don't stay humble and kind, you won't get anywhere
Mhm.
anyway. So um, I would say that I probably haven't changed my vision, but I've had all the mentors probably shape me a little bit more than I would have thought.
Can you tell me about an unexpected turn? I know you've had many because you're very open with sharing the twists and
Uh-huh.
turns of entrepreneurship, but is there some key pivotal shaping that
Yeah.
happened with some unexpected?
Oh, yeah. I mean, in 1995, my husband left, and it was just me and the kids. I never dreamed that would happen in my life. I didn't even think we had any troubles. Um, I was a working mom, and that's why I'm kind of passionate about single moms.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm very strong faith based. So I was single for years, and there was always this sounds crazy. There was always this guy in college that I always liked. And my neighbors, who were my honey doers, they didn't like to see a woman in heels clearing off her eave troughs, would always come to my rescue. But they actually hooked me up with the guy. And it was the guy from college. So I truly believe God speaks, that was just meant to be. It was just part of the journey. And I just had to learn the lessons that came with it.
Isn't that true? We can show up each day to serve from this role that is less, emotional, maybe, even though our worlds and our business and our careers we choose are so much a part of who we are.
Yeah.
But when we go home, we need that soft place to land or that gentle space to recharge. And
Yes.
and so when our personal lives get disrupted, it can really impact, or strengthen. And I really
Right.
believe we get that choice of, being victimized by those unexpected turns or really rising and believing that they're shaping, moving us to the right direction.
Absolutely, absolutely, and my work was my refuge during that time, and I
Yeah.
will say that I was very sad and very down. And of course, then when that happens, everything else in your world is too,
Yeah.
because what you see is what you get and what
Yeah.
your vision is. So I had to literally forgive in a
Yeah.
real powerful way to get that rock off my shoulders so that I could be happy again.
Yes.
Even
And
though, they may say, well, you don't have to forgive. Yes, you do have to forgive and you have to let go.
yes, it's so true. Like you're carrying the baggage or you're letting it release. Yeah.
Absolutely.
When did you meet your husband?
Oh, I met my husband, gosh, I gotta think now. It was, 2005.
Yeah. So,
My
yeah.
husband but I knew him 20 years earlier, but I
Yeah.
I literally hadn't seen him in 20 years.
That's wild. And reintroduced by your neighbors.
By my
Uh,
neighbors, they had no idea. Yeah. So I say our inside of our wedding ring says God speaks because it's like, now I know why God put me on this journey, to learn. And, there's lessons in going through all that. I mean, once you've gone through all that, you're just way more humble and you appreciate things differently. So I
I
think
love,
having hard times makes you a better person,
yeah,
you
more
know?
relatable, more compassion.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, I agree. Thank you for sharing that, Jill.
Yes.
Um, so how did you used to plan and budget from those beginning days in your career versus like how you plan and budget now that you have this large crew of people around you when you were wearing, I guess, all the hats back in the day? What are some of the core values you have in time management or people skills or things that kind of help you reach towards those dreams? How do you stay on track?
First of all, I mark off my calendar very strictly so
Yeah.
that I know from this time to this time, and I'm very diligent about it. I even color code them.
Yeah.
So the ones that are important are a certain color, the ones that aren't as important in certain colors, so that my assistants know, okay, she can't move this one, she can move this one if they need to, because they help, fill my day
Yeah.
with franchise and everything. So I'm very diligent about my calendar.
Mhm.
I'm probably not so great on time management. Sometimes I'm here later than I probably should be, but I just like to get very organized. Um, One of the things that really helped me is my twin sister, we're so opposites. So she is like the Excel spreadsheet queen, and I am the HR person.
Okay.
So I take care of the management side, the HR, the culture, all that. She takes care of the spreadsheets, but we have become so spreadsheet orientated on everything. I went to Excel classes, learned how to do macros because that really was a neat function to show if this was going to work or not. And that's when we got to the point that we've got to do parts and labor. And then we put the culture and the business part together to realize that just makes sense because it's just facts and no emotions in that. Where when you take 10% off the top or 8% or 12%, whatever the salons do, then the people think, well, I got to go booth rental because I'm going to save this money. What they don't realize is, okay, you just lost all your vacation pay. You just lost your group education. You'll never get the quality of education that you'd get from a bigger, larger salon. You also lost any benefits that you've got from that salon. And then you also have to pay, your percentage of taxes that were self-employment tax. So it is, they just don't know what they don't know. And then usually, typically after 3 years of being an independent, they either quit or go to a different industry because they get killed by the taxes.
Mhm. And that kind of shows to me that you're very system focused and then like
Very
educating others through those systems versus an emotional um convincing, right? Like we aren't selling something, we're actually just presenting the facts that it's for you to educatedly decide.
right.
Yeah, and that's why I love systems because it teaches.
Oh, yeah, and you know what? Policies and procedures are my life because
Yeah.
it makes my life so much easier, and they're not drawn up always by just us. Our
Yes.
team draws them up because they always bring, something to the table that we thought, "Oh, that will never happen," but it just makes it easier and better. We just have to shift through what's that policy, what's that process, you
Mhm.
know? So,
I love spreadsheets. I'm like your sister.
yeah.
But speaking on HR, have you ever felt hostage within your own business? And can you share like an experience of how you could, you know, support salon owners out there that are really working hard to scale, but they aren't sure how to get that around that culture because it is just so important to the operations. And it doesn't always mean that they're not a great person, but they may not just be that great fit for your business and how we
Right.
can transition smoother or have those hard conversations. That
You know,
hostage.
I've had times in my life where I had prima donnas working with me, and their egos were high, their efficiencies were low. We'd bring people in from the school, they would beat their performance right away. Um, and we would just have meetings with them, coaching meetings, and they would complain about it. And I'm like, well, what can you do about it? Because there's no emotion here. They are making more than you are, and you've been here longer. So either you change or nothing will change, you
Yeah.
know? So some of them stayed and changed and just really got more competitive, and some
Mhm.
of them quit and did their own thing because they just don't want anybody holding them accountable. And I was so grateful when they quit because I didn't really want to let them go, but yet they were ruining the culture.
Yeah.
But once I got my own school going, I haven't felt hostage since because I always have a group to a resource to pull from. So I also probably subconsciously manage different because I don't manage with fear anymore because I have, 150 ladies to choose from and men. Um, so they can't scare me
No.
anymore. Not that they would ever mean to, you know what I mean? But so no, I
Yeah.
haven't felt hostage for a long time.
No, and it goes into like feeling good having expectations. And it's okay to have these expectations. It's an opportunity for employment. So holding
Absolutely.
people accountable to those expectations can become, fearful when you feel you need them, but when you know that it's a win-win situation, it's a great conversation to have.
Right.
You
Right.
know, it's more or less opening up those conversations.
Yeah, and Blair Singer is another guy that really helped me on accountability and how to approach people with questioning. So I will say my management style has changed. I don't tell them what I think right away. I just go through a form of questioning them. And then, believe it or not, the answer, even if it's not even the answer I thought it was going to be, comes out to surface. And it really helps me manage people better. So I think, I'm just always out there learning for new education. Jason Everett's another great one who is always teaching me different ways to look at things with high performance salon academies. Um, and I'm always that junkie that's, got a book. I'm like the movie Cocktail where Tom Cruise always had a book. That's totally me.
I love it. I just finished Blair Singer Master Facilitation for her
Oh,
account. Yeah,
yes.
I just adore Blair for sure.
Yes.
Okay, I want to talk about scaling and expansion. Something that I really loved about I remember when I first met you, how you got into the school. I got to come and see in Fargo. You had bought the building is when like furniture stores were closing and everything's
Yep.
kind of going into the online, and you've seen an opportunity,
Yep.
but it's like this gut wrenching investment, right?
Scary gut-wrenching investment. I'm not gonna lie, it was scary to make a leap from 6,500 square feet to 27,000 square feet school. Um, so what I did is I broke it up in pieces. So I rented out parts that I knew I wouldn't need. So I
Yeah.
did phase 1 in the one part, phase 2 in the next part, phase 3 in the next part, and I just finally finished phase 4. So I always had somebody paying me rent for those other parts, so it wasn't as scary. But now the full school is entire academy, um, and we have massage, aesthetics, nails, Cosmo, and we have the franchise offices there too. So
Okay. So you're able to keep like
yeah.
scaling that. And how many years from the first year you bought the building to where you're at now, where you're using the whole space yourself?
Oh boy, I think I bought the building in 2007, And just March of 2020, we just finished out the last phase and then COVID hit, which really worked out good because we were online in 3 days training our students. And
Yeah.
all of our educators came in the building, and then we didn't know really what we're dealing with, so they're all scared. So we set up all the mannequins in the chairs. We had dressed up mannequins in the front desk. I mean, we just tried to make it like people were here, even though they weren't here. And the educators all facilitated, but Chris Barron and his team nationally came to all of our schools and taught us how to facilitate online. And it was, how to put them into group chats, how to pair and share, and, really getting and integrating that learning. By just talking to them is not really learning. When you want to educate them, you have to pull it out of them. And that's where you have to break them up into groups. So they really taught us a lot about that, not to mention the microphones, the lighting, all of that, the backgrounds and stuff like that. So it was a huge learning experience for all of us. But, I always have a positive look on the world. And I thought, even though this is so hard and so scary and so many lives were lost, there's so much learning that came out of it. For us, we do so much more learning, even with our franchise. And we're able to give so much more education because of all of those tips and tricks on how to facilitate and how to pull. I think you'd admit, if you were at a class and they pulled it out of you instead of speaking to you, which one you would remember?
100%.
Yeah, it makes a big difference.
Yeah. So shareholders, I know that was a business model that you've taught through the consulting and the systems that you bring into your salons.
Yep.
And also with your lifestyle salon, with your academies, and then moving from shareholding to franchise model, where you're actually finding those entrepreneur leaders who want to kind of roll on their own and be that supporter. What has been your transition through all that? Tell me about that first experience as shareholders beyond your sister, I guess,
Yes.
and finding that trust foundation of knowing if it's a good fit,
Right.
and then
So
franchise models.
we only invited shareholders based on their performance and where we thought we needed to fix a department. So it was very strategically picked. Like, if I knew somebody was really good with numbers, then that would be this person. If I knew somebody was really good with people, that would be this person. So we hand selected them. And I have to tell you, a few of them, their egos got so huge, we had to let them go. When they went from a stylist to an owner, and they were like, "Do as I say and not as I do." And I go, "Sorry, don't let the Lord, split you where the good Lord, or don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split you," because that doesn't fly here. I mean, you
Yeah.
have to walk the talk and be that person. You
Mhm.
cannot say, "Do as I say and not as I do." It doesn't work here. So, we had some challenges when we first brought it on, but we had brought a group of 8 people in to be shareholders with us. So that money then we could take and open a school. So that's my story on how we started to do it. Worked
Yeah.
out really well. And then as we were building the school, we were showing our shareholders how to run the salon. And granted, we're still in the same town. So I'm in my salon right now. Um,
Mhm.
so that we're always still here for them and stuff. And we're very team orientated. So um,
Mhm.
that's how we did that. You're in business for yourself, but not by yourself kind of attitude, kind of the whole way with the school. We have operation directors here, we have operation directors at the school. And then as far as the franchise level, we have, everybody's got departments, and then they have all operation directors in their department. So it's really scaled out over the years, and it's based just on need.
Yeah, and I really feel like the benefit of that type of scaling growth is because it's performance based. So everyone
Yeah.
has a vested interest
Yep.
to the aligned vision, and you're all for the same thing, and we're working together to make it happen. And it's
I
bettering
tell
the.
people,
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I tell people, always make them put their own money in. Don't give them equity, because
Yes.
then it'll go to their head. At least that's my experience. So you want to have them have their guts in it a little bit, just like you do, because it just makes you show up a little bit differently every day, and it makes you think a little bit differently every day when you've got your own money vested and your own money to lose. Don't ever, ever just gift it to somebody. I did
Yeah,
that with somebody that was I thought would be good and couldn't afford it, and oh, the ego was it was bad, and it happened a
it's
couple times. So, and
yeah,
even in the franchise thing, I see people do that, and it just doesn't work.
yeah, if they don't have to put that skin in.
Yeah,
Yes.
gotta have skin in the
What's
game.
the population there in Fargo? I swear it's the same, like very similar to Saskatchewan.
It's probably around 250, 300,000.
Yeah. And what's your market there for salons and spas? How many salons and spas do you have? Is it quite a large, like 200, 300
Oh,
salons? Like you're looking at?
it's a lot. I don't even know how many. I guess, I'm one of these people that I never focus on
Yeah.
what's around me. I just focus
Yeah.
on what we have. I've just always been that way. Like one of the other educators used to work at the other schools in town, and they said, they always focus on you guys. And I'm like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, maybe I should do that. I don't. I just focus on how can we give the student the best experience.
Yeah. I feel like it's just such a interesting concept for our city to hear because it's so comparable and you're running this like 22,000 square foot spa
Right.
salon. I
Right.
feel that's an opportunity untapped here, and I would love to see our industry pros um, be inspired by the fact that it can happen here too.
Yes. So
So
true.
two more questions. What will you not delegate?
Um, I probably, oh God, that's a tough one. What would I not delegate? I guess if it's something to do with my core operations people, I'm always very involved. That's one thing that I probably would say that I always want to have my hands in that
Mhm.
for
Like
my
your
core
core
people.
direct.
Yeah, I want to always be there for them no matter what.
Yeah.
Um, and my children and my husband. I mean, I don't delegate. Well, I would like to delegate a lot more. Let me tell you. It'd be nice to
What would you mind if to never do again?
what would I what?
Mind not ever doing again when it comes to like your entrepreneur hats.
Um, what I never want to do again is have too much on my plate because then I do everything this good instead of this good. That's what I
Yeah.
never want to do. And that's that day in September when I said something's got to give. I hate when you hit that ceiling and
Yeah.
you should have known before you hit it, you know?
Yeah. So final thoughts on final message you might want to share with some of our future industry leaders or what's next with Jill?
Oh gosh. Well, one thing I'd like to share with everybody is don't let yourself hit that ceiling and really plan and prepare. Don't just let life happen. You've got to make it happen. So that's a big thing. Make it happen is one of our lingos we use within our company here. And then always look for what's not working because even though it was part of your process and part of your growth plan, things are always evolving. So always be very conscious and aware of when things need to evolve again, because you just can't always stay the same. Think you got it set up, you're done. No, it's constantly checking your numbers, what's working, what's not. And that's not only money, it's process and people too. Like we're very people driven. So
Yes.
that's one thing I would say. Never get comfortable. It'd be
Yes.
boring if you did anyway.
I agree. Thank you so much, Jill. Your wisdom sticks with me through my full. Since I met you, you have just shifted the way I think about this career, my opportunities. I don't see a glass ceiling because I've got your path to look after. So, thank you
Right.
very much for sharing your time today. I really
One
appreciate it.
one thing I would like to add that we talked about earlier, um, um, I always, whenever I've started a business, I've always had my pastor walk through it with me and
Yeah.
just bless it for the client experience, for the employee experience, and the safety. And I was telling Candace earlier, I said, and our building's been hit 4 times by cars, and 2 were really bad, and somebody could have got killed, and we were very lucky they weren't. And I often go back to, it's because we have this blessing from my pastor, on the building. It just makes that extra security. Being an entrepreneur, you've got, so many responsibilities of all the people in your group to make sure they're doing well. And just knowing you have that extra layer of safety and security is just a good feeling.
I love that so much. I'm glad you remembered to share it because I think disruption and the unexpected turns life
Yeah.
is going to bring all of us. There's a
Yeah.
guarantee around that. Uh,
Yes.
knowing that you've prepared for that through blessing, right?
Yes.
Through trust in that faith is a real strong thing to pass on. So
It is.
a wonderful
Gets
ritual
you
that
through everything. It gets you through everything.
yeah, amazing. Well, I'm gonna keep you on here because I'm gonna steal a few more minutes of your time if you don't mind. But I'm gonna say goodbye to everyone here. Thanks for logging in, Jill. We'll chat soon again.